The first shipment of live cattle from Queensland since the export ban was lifted is bound for Indonesia. The ocean shearer left Townsville early this morning with 6,000 head on board. Wellard Rural Exporters owns the ship. I spoke with the company's managing director, Steve Meerwald, at the Townsville cattle yards before the ship sailed. Steve Meerwald, what impact did the temporary ban on exports have on your business?
Devastating, not only for us but for all of our suppliers across northern Australia and also for our importers in Indonesia. Very significant financial, logistical and as a consequence a lot of social impacts right across the board.
When you say significant financial impact, what sort of dollars are we talking?
Well, just in our business we estimate a direct loss of $5 million. A huge amount, and it will take us a long time to work our way through all of the issues as a consequence of that, but we've got a big business, but it certainly had an impact on us, and there's a lot of smaller businesses that lost a lot less, but the consequences for them are just as devastating.
Are you confident the slaughter practices in Indonesian abattoirs are now up to standard?
Absolutely. We've been working directly with our importers to ensure that the abattoirs that we have approved for the cattle that we've got going through into Indonesia will meet a minimum of the OIE standards, which are the international standards as interpreted by the Australian industry and the Australian government. And in addition, in our case, we will only supply abattoirs that have pre-slaughter stunning.
So these cattle are going to be stunned?
Absolutely. All of the cattle that we have going to Indonesia, regardless of their origin, will be going to feedlots and importers whose final point of slaughter will include stunning. Why
is Queensland able to resume trade now?
Look, Queensland is resuming because it's a great place to source cattle. We're loading a very large vessel. Supply is a bit tight across northern Australia as everything sort of gears up, and it is late in the season, and there are cattle that have gone over the 350 kilo weight limit for Indonesia. So Queensland's figured in our supply chain from Australia for the last couple of years, a very important part, and we get our best quality cattle out of this part of the world. So we're really pleased to be back here and to be supporting Queensland cattle producers and the Queensland industry more generally.
So the fact exports have resumed, does that mean the industry is back on its feet and everything's back to normal?
No, it'll be a long time before things are back to normal, whatever normal is in our industry, because it's generally a pretty awkward and difficult industry. We manage a whole lot of issues both domestically and internationally and commercially. I mean, just the Australian dollar creates huge impact. So normal for us is something that we have trouble quantifying, but I think we're really looking at resuming some form of normality over the course of the next 5 to 6 months, with a view to being pretty much back on track as we go into the dry season in next March or April.
And what's demand like for the future? Is there a strong market for this product now in Indonesia?
Absolutely. I think that if anything, this whole crisis has underwritten the value not only that this industry brings to Australian producers, but also the value and its essential place in the red meat market, fresh meat market in Indonesia, and increasingly in other parts of the world. And I think that's, if anything, the demand is going to grow, and we're going to see other markets that are our near neighbours come into play that will see the significant value of importing and value-adding feeder livestock in situ. So markets such as Vietnam and China could be Indonesia's of the future.
There were a couple of bills by the Greens and Independents to permanently ban live cattle exports. They were both defeated. Does this trade have a long-term future?
Absolutely. I think all of what's happened in the last couple of months, as painful as it has been, will help to underwrite the requirements that will ensure good animal welfare and good management outcomes for livestock right through the system. And as long as we can provide those assurances and evidence them, which is part of the process that we've got to go through now, then the public should be assured of the fact that this is not only a very important economical trade, but it can be conducted and is conducted in a way that brings about the best possible animal welfare outcomes.
A Senate inquiry into the industry is ongoing. What's the most important thing you would say to them?
Look, I presented evidence in Broome a couple of weeks ago and have been reading through the transcripts. I think that the senators on board that particular committee and review are very well aware of the commercial value of the trade. Some of them have some concerns as to the animal welfare outcomes, but I think that they're becoming increasingly aware of how passionate everybody involved in the trade is and how much importance is placed on good animal welfare outcomes and the challenges that we've got in markets in bringing about those outcomes, but also the significant steps that we've taken in changing cultures in markets that in the past have had little regard for animal welfare.
Steve Meerwald, thanks for your time.
It's been my pleasure, thank you.
And that Senate inquiry is due to hand down its report on September the 21st.